Welcome everyone to a day in the life of a migrant in Australia. The Polaron team would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians throughout Australia and their continued connection to land, sea, and the community. Before we begin, I would like to start with the agenda. We will firstly introduce our panelists and hear from Polaron's founder before moving to our presentation, the panel discussion, and finally finishing with the Q&A. First off, I would like to introduce to Fabiola Campbell. Fabiola is a leader known for her work at Professional Migrant Women and is a regular speaker at panels and in podcasts. With a Venezuelan background, Fabiola serves on the Regional Advisory Council for the Victoria Multicultural Commission and advises various initiatives for migrant women. Wonderful to have you, Fabiola. Next up, I would like to introduce Jose Alonso. Jose left home at a young age to travel the world. Through this experience, he has created a network of thousands of professionals worldwide, become an entrepreneur, and is the founder of Insight Academy of Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Thank you so much for being here, Jose. Finally, I also would like to give a warm welcome to Eva Hussain, the founder and director of Polaron Language Services. Eva is a certified translator, interpreter, and is a migrant herself. She will be our moderator for our panel today. So I also would like to first start with a brief presentation on migrant professionals in Australia. So what do we know about migrant professionals in Australia? 1 in 3 workers in Australia were born overseas. 25% of recent migrants have postgraduate qualifications compared to fewer than 1 in 10 workers born in Australia. Yet despite greater levels of education and experience, recent migrants earn less today than they did a decade ago. They also face many barriers to entry in joining the Australian workforce. And how can organizations support migrants in Australia? Well, this is a great question. And also we have been working in many projects with organizations that empower migrants in Australia. But what you can do? By hiring and providing experience in Australia, valuing multicultural speakers, understanding the wealth that different perspectives can bring to your team, by providing access to support and professional networks. That's very important. Doing networking, linking with people that have the same experience as you, professional experience, or can lead you to more opportunities. Another way to support or how we can provide support for migrants that on our side we do here at Polaron, it's translations and interpreting services, jobs and professional support, mentoring and internships. So in mentoring and internships, we have been working alongside with universities, but also with community organizations. When they raise their hand, contact us and tell us there is a person that was an interpreter or has a translator background or wants to become a translator interpreter here in Australia or work in the industry in Australia. So we have done a partnership for these internships and mentoring. It can be a different industry than what you might know in your home country, as well as our multicultural advisory panel. This multicultural advisory panel is it's I think something that we are very proud here at Polaron, but we also provide some these spaces for the leaders from different backgrounds to give us this advice on what we do on our services, but also to let us know what we can do better to provide more support for migrants, and as well as some pro bono work and free events, as well as training, webinars. So all these great activities that we do here at Polaron, we know that we can do better, but we are always looking to give and keep providing support for migrants and community organizations. This is one of the examples, I would say. We have been working in the anti-racism space for some years now. This is one of the initiatives that we are part of, called All One Together. We have shared this initiative, but we also are ambassadors of these initiatives made by the ECCB team, developed by them. This project aims to support employers to improve their diversity and inclusion approaches at work. It is only through an ongoing, active approach to anti-racism in our policies, practices, and behaviors that we can take meaningful steps towards change. And here you can see the letter that Eva has sent. She might talk a little bit about these initiatives and her experience in this industry, and what we as Polaron advice to other organizations and employers in how to integrate respectfully, culturally appropriate, and integrate migrants, professional migrants in their workspace. But now on, I would like to continue with the panel discussion. Over to you, Eva.
Thank you so much, Carla. I am super excited about this particular panel discussion because we are speaking to two people that not only have lived experience of being a migrant, but they also have a lived experience of being a migrant who's a professional. And both Fabiola and Jose will be able to tell us a little bit more about their own backgrounds shortly, but I've met them both, and I'm honestly in awe of all their achievements and how they've managed to not only achieve success themselves, but also help others to do so. I'm going to bring Fabiola and Jose onto the screen now, if that's okay, if you could turn your cameras on. Fabiola, I'll start with you, because your life story, which I'm a little bit familiar with, is somewhat unusual in that you were born in Australia and then your parents took you back to Venezuela and then you came back at a later stage. What was your journey? Like what happened? And do you remember your first day in Australia when you came back?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here and sharing my stories and my experience with you and your audience. And yeah, do I remember the first day that I came to Australia? Absolutely. I came here as an adult. I was 27 years old when I came here for the first time. And obviously everything was different and we'll say sparkling or exciting. However, as a Australian citizen, I was an Australian citizen by birth. I came here with an Australian passport, but I didn't know how to speak English. So that was my first challenge. And as you know, 10 minutes since I arrived, I went to cross the migration point, and the migration officer say something to me. He read the migration card out loud, and there were two things in my migration card. It says, occupation. I put criminologist. That's what I used to do. I graduated as a criminologist in Venezuela. And that was my last job before I came to Australia. And the second thing was country of citizenship, and I put Australia. So the only thing I understood of what he was saying was criminologist, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, could you please speak slowly because I don't understand English very well," in a very broken English, of course. And then he looked a bit upset, and he said something like criminologist, Australian. And what I got was, how come you say that you are a criminologist and you are Australian, and you don't know how to speak English. So going through migration is something that really stresses me out. And I started crying, because I didn't know what to do. So I got a bit nervous, but at that point in time, I realized that although I am an Australian citizen, I was also very much a migrant. Many years after living here in Australia, I realized that was such an unfair assessment and the way he addressed that, because as we know, at least 1 in every 3 Australians were born overseas or have a parents that had been born overseas. So to have a migrant or to have an Australian professional that doesn't speak English is not necessarily a rare occurrence. But it did feel really harsh at a time.
So you arrived here with a lot of luggage, meaning suitcases, as well as other things, including your accent perhaps, and limited English and all of that, but also education. So I'll move on to the next stage, which is the amazing organization that you've created in a moment. But I wanted to ask Jose now, because I hear that you ran away from home. Is that right? Is that what happened when you were young?
Well, I didn't run away. I just wanted to. No, I wanted to do something different. Yeah, I wasn't doing well in school. And as Fabiola said, I used to speak very fast as well, so I wasn't really understood by others. So I just decided when I was 17, yeah, I just left. I wasn't doing well in the school, so I just quit the school and I went to England because at the time I'm from Spain, so we became European Union, which was great. And I went to UK to work, and then I kept traveling for a few years until I arrived to Australia.
And when did you come here? What year, Jose?
Well, I came here twice. First time I came was 2006, I think. Yeah. So I came with a tourist visa first. I was working, surviving. Maybe I don't know if anyone from the government here, but it wasn't allowed, obviously. But anyways, you have to survive, anyways. So yeah, I came with a tourist visa first, and then I came with a tourist visa first. I come actually live in Thailand before, so I come to see the country, and I have some paints that I wanted to sell, paintings from a friend of mine from Thailand, and I come to sell the paints and stuff, and yeah, I stay in a hostel, and then in the hostel I met few people, and quickly someone offered me a job in hospitality, and then I was selling the paints door to door in the houses, and then I got my first job offer in Australia when I was doing door knocking. And that's how I started my journey here. So in my case, I find Australia an easy country with a lot of opportunities. I didn't see at all the opposite, much easier than Europe or Asia. That's how I see it. And I saw a lot of opportunity for businesses. It's like, that's why, yeah, I didn't care. My accent still hasn't improved much, so I didn't really care about what people think of my accent. That's what I say. Maybe go later into the questions. It's more about personality wise. It's like I don't care, like if somebody thinks whatever I'm accent, I don't care. I just thought the way I talk. Even I haven't made even an effort to improve my accent because I don't care. This is the way I talk, and that's me. And period. If you like me, it's fine. So I saw when I come that one, like I saw a lot of opportunities, a lot of cool people, like Fabiola say. There's a lot of migrants here, which is to make a lot of people at the beginning, maybe from overseas. You start meeting some locals as well. And yeah, I was here for 2 years and I left. I didn't like Australia very much at the beginning. I like it, but not to stay forever, right? I stayed in Sydney for a while. I mean, my mind was more about travel. I didn't have a settled place. But yeah, then I went away. I lived in the States for a while in New York. Actually, I got a job from someone in Australia to work in New York. And I stayed for a few months, didn't like much in New York. I traveled in Central America. I was there for like 6, 7 months. And then someone here from education contact me and say, look, I got this company, is an education agent in Melbourne. Would you like to come back? And then it's when I come the second time and I start my journey until I open Insight Academy.
Mhm. And I'll ask you about Inside Academy in a moment, because I have been to your facility and it's very
I
creative,
remember.
beautiful space.
Thanks.
But back to you, Fabiola, just there for a minute. So you talk about those challenges beginning the minute you cross the border and, kind of feeling not quite part of the landscape and not knowing where you stand and what the future brings. But you've managed to turn all of that into something really quite positive relatively quickly and build an organization that assists migrant women in getting a job in their chosen profession. And how much of it do you think is still needed in Australia compared to when you came initially? Like, is it, and what drives you? Like, what did you kind of like woke up one morning and you thought that was so hard for me, I've got to help other women, or what happened?
Well, I think that it was a combination of things. And number one, I did receive a lot of support. I was very lucky to have some people around me that knew about the recruitment process and supported me. And I learned to do that. I knew how to do the process. And then I met quite a few people along the way that struggle with that. And I helped them in the process in the same way that I was helped. And 5 years ago, I was on some crossroads in my life, trying to bring some meaning into my life, trying to identify a space where I could contribute with the skills that I have in a meaningful way. And I found myself in this space. Now, the interesting thing is, that was 15 years into my journey in Australia. And as a professional, I felt that I was in a constant treadmill for self-improvement, to prove myself, to show people that I could learn, that I could have the qualifications, that I could do. And even though I pursue many, many opportunities, I put myself forward, I put my hand up, I did all the things that people recommend to do. I wasn't getting the opportunities that I was after. And
Fabiola, sorry to interrupt you there. How much of it do you think it's self-confidence, or how much of it, because we're talking about challenges or barriers now, right? And you said that you tried and you got out there and you did everything that you thought you could do, but you were still not getting the opportunities. Do you think some of it was to do with your confidence, or is it networks, or like what was it, do you think, on reflection now?
Again, I think that's a combination of things. But most people wouldn't say that I lack confidence. I could be quite extroverted, outgoing, although confidence is a matter of competency, right? So people usually mistake confidence for competency. I think I was doing the right things. I felt that I lacked the opportunities. And again, when I was trying to find a space where I could add value from an authentic place, where I didn't have to keep improving myself, I realized that I had an opportunity to help migrant women getting into professional employment like I was many years before. And I am a corporate trainer, so I can design training, I can facilitate training, and I can organize and create safe spaces for people. So that's what I did. And that's how I launched my mentoring program for professional migrant women, to help them close that gap between migration and professional employment.
Thank you. Jose, over to you now, and tell us how much how many of these challenges do you think are structural in Australia, because you run a successful enterprise now that bridges those gaps as well that Fabiola has just mentioned. So do you think it's to do with attitude, networks, or confidence, in fact, or are these challenges sort of more of a structural issue that people might encounter?
I'm very unstructured, so I will tell you the other part. I have very low structure and I done okay, so I don't think it's the structure. It's more about what Fabiola was saying. It's more about how do you connect with people, especially when you're in a new country. That's the most important thing. It is the most important connections, right? So, and connections help you to build confidence. So, to build connections, as Fabiola is doing, for example, she's growing very fast as well with the network because she's helping people. So, at the end of the day, the best way to build connection is helping others, right? So, I think when you start building something that you're helping people around you, everything comes back to you, right? So, confidence in the fact that, yeah, confident is most confident, not just confident, in, as you say, like going to some bar or something, get confident in things that you always just wrong with, and be open-minded in the sense like be open, right? This is very important. Because you are in this, let's say, I would say this to the students, right? You come all the way from your country, and maybe you are from my country, Spain, and then you hang out with Spanish people, and you go to Ipaya, and then you go sangrias, one Colombian, and I go Ipa, go to the reggaeton party and all that. This is the things that mistakes that normally migrants make, right? Or people, or I mean, migrants, international students, right? So I think it's important to, when you are in any country, to be able to embrace the culture or try to connect with people that has been there for longer. And that once as well comes with a part of, because sometimes the problem, the lack of confidence, it comes because you don't have, you don't challenge yourself in small things that later can help you to build this relationship, network, jobs, etc. Because if you are working at home, your language, for example, if you're talking, I don't know, maybe you speaking Russian or whatever at home all the time, but then you go to work, you have to speak English, English. That's one as well is not very positive, because what happened is that if you're outside your work, you're not speaking English, for example, it cannot affect. If you don't build networking around your work, doesn't help you to grow into the business, because in the business you have to be networking, catching up with friends for work, etc. No, so yeah, that I think that's the fact of yeah, a bit of everything. And one thing very important is to be consistent. Consistency is very important. You have to, okay, this is my goal, I'm gonna go for it. Make your goals and don't lose your goals. That happens as well. You go to another place and you get lost because you don't know the system, etc. So it's maintain your vision and your goals as well. I think that's
very wise advice, Jose. But of course, not everyone's different. So I'm speaking on behalf of all the introverts in the world who I'm not like you guys. I certainly wasn't confident when I was first starting. I remember being petrified in rooms full of people and thinking, okay, how do I network? What does that even mean? Who do I talk to? Should I just run now? So you're right that consistency is something that you kind of have to find your own way of networking, because of course, I, just like you guys, didn't grow up here. I didn't go to the right schools. I don't have the networks that, people born here have. So that sense of belonging that people crave or want to have when they work in a professional environment, how do you actually create that? Because many workplaces have different cultures, and I know that both of you have worked in different spaces. Jose, you've created your own environment, I guess, and you created your own rules. Is that essentially what happened? How do you make people feel welcome at your enterprise?
Well, I think that in my case, what I do, I just ask what is needed. No, so I constantly talking to the students, teachers, etc., and then I know what's going on, what is needed. So it's mainly a fact of communication, feedbacks, and then apply the feedbacks into the place, right? My company is massive, multicultural. Like everyone is from different nationalities. I work with people from Thailand, Vietnam, Latin America, from Colombia, Venezuela. So we have and teachers as well. No, so we got teachers. So it's a very multicultural environment. So sometimes, obviously, this is how we talk always. No, this word of cultural awareness. No, understand everyone. Look, say, you talk to Annie, the girl from Vietnam. And she's that, but it's at the end, it's just how to communicate at work and how do you send the information into them. And yeah, I don't feel like sense of being in this company is like very multicultural. We have obviously people from Australia, people from different nationalities. All right, so in this environment is not really the right exactly what the question that you asked me. In my case, is in a multicultural environment. So in my case, I'm the founder, and I always try to feel people welcome. Doesn't matter who comes, doesn't matter the age. It's all about the energy and the good vibes. If you have good energy, good vibes, and you're willing to do work and do things can work out. And when you don't know something, you ask. Okay. And for the students, it's the same. The students tell us what to do. Like, for example, right, with Fabiola, I done few stuff, we done some collaborations. Why? Because I feel the students have problems because they're introverts, as you say. They don't know how to connect. But look, I think maybe I can help them. If we generate some events, networking events that help them to motivate them to connect with people from outside the school, etc. Right? So it's all about, in our case here, is just basically the feedback that we receive and apply it to keep improvement. And in the staff as well, I do surveys to staff as well to know how they feel at work, to see what is need to be done, right? And equality, obviously, nowadays is important, doesn't matter. And I think things in this environment, like professional environment, I think depends on the company is quite okay. I have different things from different people in different companies, but in these organizations, we respect everybody.
Of course, and you also empower people to feel welcome.
Yeah.
Fabiola, at Professional Migrant Women's, I've been to many of your events and I always feel welcome and empowered. But the reality is that in some professions, in some contexts, you may well be very well qualified, professional, and ready to work, but you don't feel that you belong. I hear that from many, many women. Like, how can organizations actually, what are some of the little steps and simple tips that we can give to organizations to make people feel more welcome?
Look, I think there are many things that organizations can do, right? But I always like to talk about what are the things that we can do, because those are the things that we can actually control. And the more we control these things, the more we can also impact the organizations that we work for example, right? This is a story, and I believe to be true, and I have seen it in many different places, but I don't have the exact source for the story. Apparently, a Zulu tribe in Africa has this greeting called Sawubona. And when you come to visit this tribe, somebody comes to greet you. And Sawubona means, I am here to see you. And the person who is coming responds with another greeting that's called Shikoba, which means I am here to be seen. I think there is no belonging. You cannot have a sense of belonging. One, if people are not open and to receive you. But the one thing that we are in control of is how we want to be seen. And for as long as we are pretending to be somebody else, for as long as we are trying to mask our accents, for example, or for as long as we deny part of ourselves, then we will never feel welcome. I mean, Jose was saying, I have a strong accent and I don't care what people think about me, and they, leave it or take it. That was part of my process of having a sense of belonging. The day that I got over the sound of my accent, I embraced that, I actually experienced a more profound sense of belonging. I think I was getting myself ready to be embraced. So that's something that only you can do, no matter how much processes organizations put in place. you can always accept and honor every part of yourself.
It's so interesting you say that. I think that in Australian work context and professional context, there are lots of invisible rules that I have no hope of really truly understanding. And, the next question is about authentic selves. And this is a bit controversial, I know, because the way I deal with problems, for example, because, I come from Poland, we talk about problems firstly, not solutions. We talk for hours and we complain and, so I couldn't do that in Australian context because I would be perceived, and I have been, in fact, perceived as very negative, right? So I've had to learn to navigate those nuanced cultural waters, I guess, whereby I also have to give space to other, experiences and cultural approaches to work. But is there such thing, Fabiola, as being able to bring your authentic self to work? Or do you always or forever have to be on edge and worried about how people perceive you? And you say that you've done it. Jose says that he doesn't care. But can you truly do that and expect your workplace or other people to absorb your culture that way?
Look, again, I did experience that dual identity for many years. It was very interesting for me to see how I behave, say, with my friends and how I behaved at work. And it was like two different people. And I think it was because I was denying myself that those aspects of myself, So for, say, part of my identities, I was very comfortable identifying myself as a professional. In fact, there was a great value, a high value that we had at home. I was also very comfortable identifying myself as a woman. But I was never comfortable identifying myself as a migrant. And that was a point, a part of my identity that caused feelings of shame for me. So why being a migrant was such a shameful thing? Well, I think it's because, speaking correctly was a high value at home because of our education. And the fact that I couldn't speak the way I wanted or had it in my head meant that made me feel embarrassed. Now, it was through a long process of recognizing some of these issues that I realized, my accent is causing me to have this shame, but there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I have to do a reframe. So what does an accent mean? An accent means that I am willing to embrace risks. I am willing to take new opportunities. I am open for new ideas. I actually have a story to tell because of my accent. I have a lot of cultural richness that I can share. So having an accent became a reason of pride. And then there was something else that I heard somewhere. They said that when you embrace every part of yourself, nobody can use it against you. And I thought that was fabulous, because the day that I embraced my accent, the day that I embraced, all myself as I was, with my cultural heritage, my story, everything, that was the day I show up at work as myself. Obviously, there was also a culture of safety in my workplace that allowed me to do so. So it is a combination of those two things. So embrace every part of yourself. Be courageous enough to step into your true self, and have, hopefully, you will have some safety structure at work that will allow you to do so.
Thank you, Fabiola. And Jose, you've already shared with us some of your approach to this topic, I guess, by saying, I'm just going to show up, turn up, take it or leave it. Do you believe that you can bring yourself in its entirety to work, or do you need to censor yourself in certain situations, do you think?
Well, in my case, when I've been working for other companies as well, I mean, I think the best thing to do is just maybe take a step behind and just see what's going on, see which is the company culture, see how they operate, be a little bit quiet, see what happened. Always make sure that you respect and you respect it. I have a comment like Fabio, about my accent, like, hey mate, speak Australian. And I like it. And I'm sorry, I don't speak Aboriginal. That's my answer, right? Or you speak too fast. I speak for quick listeners, right? So I always have an answer for everything, but it happens sometimes, no? But I think yeah, normally when these situations come with cool happens, you need to know how to react, right? In a way that, for example, I tend to make it funny when I make everybody feel uncomfortable, avoid type of conflicts. It could happen, no? Because it's a real life. In reality, this happens, right? But yeah, it's about the company culture. I think it's not even about where are you from. It's about the company itself. Like when you work for a new company, even in your home country, things like this always happen. No, bring yourself in a company, even in any job, right? So I don't think the accent or whatever or your background doesn't matter much. It's how much you know about the job, right? I can have someone coming here and wow, right? So I think it's the only thing is show your knowledge slowly as well. Don't wanna be the first one in line. Just wait a little bit and get the respect from others. Always see how you can adapt to helping others, asking what they're doing, try to build a bit of relationship as well, slowly from the bottom line until you, like myself, I took over. I work in businesses, in works. I was the last person, and at the end, I was leading the company. Why? Because I step ahead and I understand and I listen and I see what problems is going on. So yeah, also as I say, and build empathy. Build empathy with the people around you, or will you have the people that doesn't like you as much and the people like you more. So make sure you make friends, right? It's like my son. My son go to school. He was having problems because he was being bullied in the school. And I have this conversation at home with him. I say, yeah, you have a lot of friends in the higher classes, correct? So my son has been able to build a network with people around him that protect him. So no one bully him anymore. So I think works is as well. It's good how you build your relationships as well at work. And yes, I said, being humble is very important at the beginning. And also, like, don't worry about accents or whatever. You are there because you know about the job. No one cares about your accent. It's just what you know and what you're doing. And period. Don't think further. The rest, it doesn't count.
Some really great advice. And of course, it's not like there's anything you can do about it. I've worked with a psycholinguist as well to try and neutralize my accent because I also had a hang up about it. And then after a little while, I realized that, look, it's not anything I can change. So people just have to live with that. Carla, we have, yeah, right. Carla, we have about 5 minutes for questions. And thank you everyone so much for participating. And 40 minutes have gone past just like that. Really fascinating discussion. Thank you, Fabiola and Jose. Carla, over to you.
So we have some questions. I think the first one would be, what are the benefits of hiring migrants in Australia?
Oh, that's a good one. Fabiola, tell us. What are the benefits?
I think
what do we bring to the table?
Absolutely. One of the main advantages of hiring migrants is that we need a workforce that reflects our customers, our clients, our community. We need to be able to to understand how people think, how that they consume their goods or services or products that we produce, and what a better way of hiring people like our customers. The other thing is that migrants actually bring a different worldview, different experience, and things might be done in a different ways in their countries. Many migrants that come to Australia might come from third world countries that actually have to do more with less. So they find efficiencies where people that have been brought up here in Australia don't see possibilities. And I find that always very fascinating. And again, they might also bring different experiences work-wise that will contribute with the development of your business. So worldviews, work experiences, and just a person that reflects your customers is, three of the great values that migrants bring to the workforce.
And it is proven through research that organizations that employ diverse people succeed in different ways and are more agile. And I guess they also have access to different perspectives and different experiences. Carla, do we have a question for Jose?
Wait, I have an
Oh,
answer.
yeah, go. Of course, go for it.
And I give you the simplest one.
Go for it.
If you look at the workforce globally, it's highly competitive, right? Australia is competitive, but it's not as competitive. So if someone come here from another country, I'm sure is willing to give everything to do the job. Okay, so it won't be a 9 to 5 job. It will be to do what is have to be done, right? So from my experience, normally people that come from overseas, they take more ownership of the roles, and I've seen it, and I can tell you clearly, all right? And they're more grateful for the job that you do. Okay, so this is something that globally happens. This is the good thing about living here, right? Here you go 9 to 5, easy. But in reality, around the world, it's not like that. Perfect that you come here and you're willing to give a bit more. So this is something very important because, yeah, you're giving someone an opportunity. They will be grateful, loyal to the company, and also will be willing to, to work what is necessary. And they will want it to grow because you're giving the opportunity to achieve higher results in the business.
And just bringing a different perspective as well. I think we have probably a minute and a half for another question, Carla. Go for it.
Yes, so maybe an advice, if anyone can give us a brief advice you would give to a newly arrived migrant that is with professional experience that is seeking for work here in Australia.
I might get Fabiola to take that one. Did we understand what?
Quickly, I think get onto LinkedIn if you're not on LinkedIn yet. I think that's the first step. It is very, very scary for some migrants, but I think it's a necessary step. And two, start networking offline as well. So in real life, try to find events where you can connect with other people because, as Jose have mentioned this time and time again, connections is one of the best resources that you can have in any areas of life, especially in your professional life.
Brilliant. Jose, 30 seconds, last words.
I tell
that
you
want to leave us with.
What not to do.
Aha!
All right. Don't hang out with people from the same nationality. Try to live in areas where you can hang out with more community people, not with people of your own community. And something really important, positive mindset. People always have the things that I'm away from my family, I'm in another country, blah, blah. Mate, you're having another opportunity. You have 2 lives now, here and back in your country. So take the opportunity and try to do something with it. Okay? And don't misunderstand yourself. Okay? Just think in a way that you are living an adventure. Okay, you're migrating to a new country, so take it as this. This is the positive way. And then you will get goals happening and you will go in this area of comfort. And also one last thing, make yourself plans about it. If you can just arrive, okay, what is my plan? What am I gonna do now? My English, okay. What is my next step? I'm gonna get a job. So I'm gonna speak to Fabiola, she's gonna give me an employability class, she's gonna help me how to get an internship. Or what? That's another thing very important. Work doesn't matter if you do for free or for low money at the beginning. You need to get work experience as well. Some people have a lot of good skills, but no one is going to open you the big door at the beginning. Just do the small thing at the beginning, work for less. Small, it's like the famous sentence, start small, go bigger.
Some really brilliant advice. I feel very inspired. Thank you, Jose and Fabiola. This week is the Cultural Diversity Week in Victoria, so we're celebrating. And I think what I'm taking away from this session is that a lot of the resilience is within you. It's how you position yourself and how, I don't know, use your elbows, use your networks, use your accents to get ahead. Carla, over to you just for a few acknowledgements. And thank you so very much, Fabiola and Jose, for participating.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Gracias.
Of
Besos.
course, thank you so much. If you do have any language services related inquiries, please contact me at carla.f@polaron.com.au. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn. For more Polaron, you can also scan the QR code on the screen. If you have any feedback for us, please fill out our survey or send me a message. I, of course, want to thank Fabiola, Jose, and Eva. Thank you so much for being here, for providing us with these advices and for sharing your stories and your experience. Thank you once again for joining this webinar. We hope you enjoyed.